everybody. Welcome back to another episode of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate. I believe we are on episode 60.
Big number.
Yeah,
Big number.
We're getting up there. You guys just saw a Dismember commercial. Real quick preview. We are doing a Millennium themed package this week. Yeah, well, I guess it is this week. It's within a week. We started packing already. So the August shipment is these Millennium essentially pro-plastic quasars. I don't see, you can kind of see the stamp there. There's this really sweet like astronaut quasar themed stamp. Super excited about those. Found some new colors today. We're going to be sending a preview video post out. You're also getting, Evan's going to flash up everything you're getting here in a second, but you're getting some of these Millennium Sunglasses along with a Millennium sticker. It's a big old bumper sticker size sticker. Yep. A Disc Store bottle opener and a Disc Store towel. As always, both the Ultimate and the Disc Golf subscription get the UDisc memberships for free. So check that out. If you're not a Disc member, still check out UDisc. They do we have free memberships so that we can measure all the distances you see in the video. So check them out. Steve, why don't you run down the Ultimate package real quick?
Yeah, so we like to help you guys get better at your game. So we teamed up with Moral. They do instruction videos. So they asked us, hey, let's work together. We got a disc with their design, we got a jersey with their design, sticker, and then really sweet instruction video to help the Ultimate players. Or
yeah, it's one of the higher end fitness training programs. That Moral subscription service is actually $15 a month, and it's just included for the rest of time on your Dismember subscription. So Dismember is only $24.99 a month. And that's $15 right there a month. Plus you get all this swag. So it's definitely upping the value of your package. Check it out, get in better shape, get better at Ultimate. All right, we are going to go ahead and get into the review. So Quasars are going away. We are catching up on some stuff we missed this spring. This is another Dismember disc from March or April, somewhere in there, March or April. So a little bit ago, but we just now got back around to it. This is the Prodigy H1v2. These both have the Disc Golf Instruction Dismember stamp on them. Disc Golf Instruction is another instructional video service that we sponsor. Will Shoestrick is taking all of his years of experience and put it into some videos. They're really high quality, really good stuff, so check those out. Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit? Oh, let's just talk about the show for just a second. If you're new, we've taken these discs out to a field, we've thrown them a bunch of times, filmed it, so we can show you what it flies like, we can tell you how it flew for us. Steve and I are both advanced level disc golfers. We throw somewhere around 400-ish on our good days, 320-ish on our sidearms on a good day. Steve's left-handed, I'm right-handed, if that confuses you in the video. We'll give you an idea of how it flies, and we'll give these discs away. So if you guess which one of us threw the farthest backhand and how far it went, I guess just farthest throw, but it's always going to be backhand. So farthest throw and how far it was without going over, because Reese is a jerk. We will give you we'll give you the blue H1v2, and just for some other random comments, we're going to give away that H1v2 and maybe something else. We'll see. All right, so again, episode 60 of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate, the Prodigy H1v2. Steve, take it away.
all right. So we've got a speed of 10, a glide 4, high speed turn 0, and then the fade is 3.5.
And it's important to note, Prodigy doesn't actually give numbers to their discs, so these are kind of estimations from what we thought it flew like and what some of the internet thought it flew like, so they're rough guesses.
Yeah. Prodigy says this: the disc H1v2 is a re-engineered, overstable, fast-flying hybrid driver. It's evolved from original H1. What separates them is the update to the rim depth, which has been reduced slightly for an easier grip. In addition to the rim depth, they've modified the outside rim, which is consistent and faster flight and more glide. By increasing the speed and glide, the H1v2 offers more distance without losing dependability and its overstable finish.
All right, so Prodigy decided to retool their H series. They were kind of funky feeling discs. They were really deep, kind of blocky feeling. They just hadn't been very popular for them, so they did the H5 was a completely new mold that was kind of similar to these. the H3v2, which we reviewed, and the H1v2. So they took that mold, changed it up a little bit. They feel so much better in the hand. Way better than the old versions. And Steve, how does Prodigy's naming system work for those who don't know?
Yeah, so they start with number 1 as their most overstable. So if you go 2, 3, you're going down in stability, generally adding some turn. And the H series actually had a lot of fade on all of them.
Yeah.
But the design allowed it to turn a little more, kind of keep it in the air a little longer. So this being the most overstable of their H series.
And it's the H series stands for hybrid driver. So it's not quite a distance driver, it's not quite a fairway driver, it's in between. So they're kind of 10, 11-ish speed discs. So it gets a little farther than their fairways, not as far as their distance drivers or the X series. But yeah, so 10, we got 10, 11-ish, 4, 0, 3.5. What kind of disc does that remind you of, Steve?
I'm thinking, oh man, it's tough, but the PDX was basically the first one I thought of.
Yep. I think officially that's like 11.403,
But
something like that.
Just the
But it was real beefy.
Oh yeah.
I'd kind of also compare it somewhat to like, it's kind of somewhere right around a Starfire or an Orc. Those are really similar.
Yeah.
Technically the numbers hit closer to Starfire. The MVP Motion is a disc I haven't thrown but has really similar numbers. Or the Fortress from Westside that we threw last year I think is really, really close. We'll see how close those comparisons come out, but those are kind of similar numbers to give you some ideas of this might fly like. It's going to be fast, it's going to be overstable. Hopefully it's going to be a good wind fighting disc. Let's go ahead and check out the videos and see what it flies like.
Is it going to be a Steve Heiser first? We'll see.
I mean, probably.
My money says yes.
I didn't even throw hyzers this last time we filmed because that's all Steve threw. So.
Yeah.
We'll see. Here we go. Oh!
There it is. Nice swooping hyzer. This thing, 0 turn. It really was fighting out of it, but the fact that it wasn't just totally knifing, especially with that much hyzer already put on it. So what I need from that kind of shot is at least 250, pushing 300 for that much of a swoop. So this disc definitely was very nice and consistent from the very first throw.
I mean, we're throwing this next to the H5, and that's definitely not what the H5 would have flown like on that release. So it's definitely overstable. It's holding that line. Nice smooth hyzer. Like it's not like we get to the deflector and the Cayman where those are falling out of it right away. Nice smooth high-speed hyzer. It's what you're looking for. Steve wasn't throwing super hard that day, so we'll see if we can't get a little farther.
It's like the first day we were throwing in the grass, and I didn't want to fall. That's leaving it flat. Most of the other 8 series discs, you would see a turn out of that. That basically had no chance of turning over. Even if there was any wind, this thing was like, nah, we're just going to keep going. So there I finally hit 300. Not as quite of a swooping.
I don't know if 295 is hitting 500.
Come on, give it to me. Just continuous hyzer the whole way. I didn't mention yet, but this plastic itself feels really nice.
This run of 400 is really gummy, really grippy, which is going to make it probably just slightly more understable than other runs, but it does feel really good in the hand. Why are we showing back to us? Keep going.
It's too late.
Showing the disc off.
They can see us in the corner. It's okay.
We're moving on.
All right. So this is that flat release, just a touch harder. It turns ever so slightly and then really solidly fades out. That's exactly the kind of shot that I'm wanting this to do.
Yeah.
It's not crazy it's not criminal overstable or anything like that, but it is. And I didn't feel like I had to throw it. I didn't have to put as much into it as the PDX, which is why I kind of think this is probably closer to a 10 than an 11.
Yeah.
Like the PDX, I just had a rip on. This thing ripped hard, flat, dead straight, and then that really solid hyzer at the end where that 3.5 comes in. Exactly what I'm expecting, exactly the kind of distance I want it to go on that type of shot. Really reliable. While we're going through these, any of you disc members out there, why don't you comment and tell us how your H1 flies to you, whether you like it, don't like it. Well, maybe not if you don't like it. But if you like it, tell us about it, and we'll read some of your comments here in a minute. So it's a little bit of an Anheuser, and it's kind of holding it a little bit, and that's ripped really hard. If I rip the H5 that way, that's rolling.
Oh yeah.
That's easy roller with the H5. So putting on that little bit of Anheuser ripped really hard. It kind of held that for a while, then fought out of it, and had that really reliable fade. So again, it's not jumping out as early as, say, something like a deflector or a criminal would be. Flying fairly close to my felons, honestly, throwing in that kind of an angle. Maybe just a little faster. And again, 362, that's everything that I want out of a stable control driver.
Also, the P flight
Yep,
does look good. You know, they're
pretty straight. All right, I think this one is pure grip lock. So that's way on Anheuser. Held onto that too long, really ripped it. Somehow, without going higher than like 12 feet off the ground, it stayed in the air for almost 400 feet. So if you crank on this thing, it'll go.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of crank on it. And it's, so I released that a little late, so that's more straight to a fade. That's not really turning necessarily. And I put it on that angle, and it just kind of held it, fought out of it, and then faded out. So again, it'll go if you really, really rip on it, but even if you grip lock it like that, it's not going to turn over.
You know, Frank Reynolds says he's got 4 aces with his.
Nice!
Into trees.
Oh.
Good one, Frank.
That is good.
I was going to say, I don't have 4 aces since this member started, let alone with one of the discs. I think we are moving on to sidearms.
So, with the beauty of my throw, where I like to roll my wrist at the end, this disc doesn't want to go with that roll. So I can, even with it almost was correcting my mistake, which you don't always want, but on a day when you're getting filmed and you got to try and throw well, it actually helped out a lot. So no turn, nice fade, 247. That's pretty good for a fairway flick for me.
Yeah, and you kind of skied it a little bit, so
yeah.
you kept it lower to go a little farther. And that is kind of like, I do usually recommend for overstable discs for people's forehands for that reason. If you roll your wrist a little bit, the overstability is going to compensate for that and help you out a little bit. But let's take a look at a couple more forehands here. And boom! So pretty flat release. It kind of stayed straight for a while. Highs are out. That's the shape I'm looking for out of an overstable disc on a sidearm. I mean, if I'm throwing sidearm, it's because I need to go right. Like, I'm not throwing it if I can just throw a backhand there anyway. 249's a little shorter than I kind of want it to go, but again, flat, low, heading straight, and then that finish, that's exactly what we're looking for. There's a little more of a popped over Anheuser release on it, which is where we're really trying to crank on the flake to get some distance. And 281 is getting close to where I kind of want this type of a disc to go. It's kind of the same distance I'm throwing my felons. Anything farther than that, I'm popping up to either a strike for a flip-up flick or a defender for more of that same type of shot. And even that's topping out at 330-ish. So for a control driver, being able to hammer on it like that and trust it to come back and not flip over is exactly what I want.
Oh yeah.
Could you guys clarify something? We have a comment. Mackenzie Robinson says, what about the snap of the wrist instead of rolling? You want to clarify that you do want that?
Yeah, you definitely want wrist snap. So when we say rolling your wrist, see if I can get over. So I'm going to step back here just a little bit. So you do want that follow through in the snap, the directional snap with your wrist. When you roll your wrist, you flip is when people actually flip their hand
really
over.
close.
Right there. Whack. So it is the difference between flipping it out there and whacking Steve in the face with it. So it's a difference between snapping it straight with your wrist, that barn hinge, or rolling it to force it to turn.
How should your hand be when you release it?
Hey, good, I closed that. So you do, I I guess you do want your hand up when that comes out. And so like when you roll your wrist is when your hand ends up here instead of here. I guess I could have just done this. This would have been much easier.
I still would have almost been hit in the face.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been better. But yeah, so if that clarifies that a little bit. Actually, that's a really good question. You win this orange H1v2. Was that the last one?
That was the last
Oh, that was the last one. All right, cool. So the guesstimated numbers we gave it 10, 4, 0, 3.5. How do you feel about those numbers, Steve?
I think I think the only thing I would change is I would for when I was throwing it, I almost felt like I could add a positive 1 to the turn, where I did not ever think that disc would ever get any turn with calm conditions. Just pure spin. I think the disc has 0, if not a positive turn. Otherwise, I think the 3.5 would be a solid idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't knifing into the ground, kind of fading out, but it was a very consistent, controllable high fade out every time.
I mean, again, numbers are arbitrary, so whether you go 3 to 3.5, that could get really just nitpicky. And like, this is a really flexy version of this disc. And so like, if we had a more stiff version, maybe it flies closer to that 4. Just because generally the flexier plastics tend to not be as overstable. So if we had a more stiff version, maybe it is a little bit more overstable. It's definitely the most overstable A-series disc we've thrown, which we kind of talked about. Prodigy's numbering system, the letter is the type of disc it is, so H is hybrid driver, those kind of 9, 10, 11 speed discs. And then the 1 through 5 now is the stability, 1 being the most overstable of that series. But they don't necessarily, like, the ones of each series don't necessarily match up with each other. So like the X1 is definitely more overstable than this is. I haven't thrown an F1 to compare, but like a D4 doesn't necessarily match an H4, it matches an F4, matches an M4. So these are the most overstable of the H series for sure. I don't know if I'd quite give them the same as like a Firebird or a Criminal or those kind of discs. They're not quite that stable, so I think they kind of fall right in that line like we've kind of talked about of the Starfires, the Fortresses, those kind of discs where they're just a little bit straighter than that, but it definitely has that reliable finish. Definitely not a beginner-friendly disc that I would give to somebody brand new, but it's definitely going to be a win fighter disc for most people. That kind of match up with what you're thinking, Steve?
I completely agree.
All right, you guys want to do some questions and give me?
Yeah, let's go ahead and who got closest guess? 398 kind of came out of nowhere, but who got closest to that?
Let's see. We actually had a tie. We had 2 people guess.
Oh no, where am I going to find another dismember H1?
So I'll leave it up to you. Maybe you want to give both.
I've got plenty of these, so we can
they
get
both are winners.
Sure.
Okay. Bryce Swank guessed 395, and Frank Reynolds guessed 395.
Oh, never mind. We're not going to Frank anything. He's just going to throw it into a tree.
You know, Frank did guess after Bryce. So technically, it was the second one.
Well, we'll hook them both up. It'll be all right.
They're both getting hooked up. Let's see. Questions. Justin Williams wants to know, what is the most important tourney you guys have been a part of? He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and been keeping an eye on the AM World's Championship.
I wish I was there right
and
now.
he got his hands on a new Prism Insanity prototype, lucky, with the Queen Charlotte stamps.
There's been some drama going around those for a while.
So the question was, what is basically the biggest, most important, influential tournament that you have been to? So I haven't played very many tournaments at all. I think the one finally going to Blue Valley was
City of Fountains.
City of Fountains, like getting to play that size of a park.
Yeah,
that was pretty much.
Blue Valley is huge.
It was crazy to me, and it kind of blew my mind the fact that a round took 4 hours. So I would say that would be mine.
That's a short round at Blue Valley, I'll be honest.
I know.
So depending on how you define most important tournament, as he phrased it, I played Ledgestone last year, which had the highest payout of any tournament ever. And those I like the EM courses more than I like the pro course. Like they're nasty woods courses. I also played at GBO this year, which was the highest attended tournament ever by like a lot. And I usually try to go to Am Worlds as often as I can. I didn't make it to Charlotte this year because that's just really far away. But yeah, I try to play as many of the big stuff around here in the Midwest as I can. I'm going to Ledgestone again in 2 weeks, so I'm super excited about that. Any of my Illinois disc store fans, look me up. I'll be there hanging out.
Actually, someone was wondering about all the drama. Justin Williams is asking, what is it?
Yeah, so a lot of companies do this. For big tournaments like GBO or Ledgestone or the Vibram Open, which is now the Maple Hill Open, or USDGC or Am Worlds or Pro Worlds, companies will have exclusive releases that only happen at that tournament, whether it's in the Players Pack or whether it's at a Fly Mart there. Innova did this with the Firestorm at Am Worlds last year. And so MVP is released a new plastic called Prism, which is, they're the overmold company. So they have Prism is Proton cores with Proton rims. First time they've ever done it. There were 600 in the Players Pack, and there was 600, I think 800 in the Players Pack, 600 of them available at the Fly Mart. And they're selling them, and people were buying like 20 or 30 of them at a time and then selling them for ridiculous prices on the internet. And some people were freaking out, like MVP shouldn't have done this, like da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's a marketing thing. It's a first run too. Yeah, and like they'll make more eventually. Yeah. Like every company does limited releases at big events like that. It's just a thing. This just happens to be the one that took off this year. So you also don't have to pay those prices. If you don't want to pay $200 for a disc, don't pay $200 for a disc. If you want to pay $50 for a disc, which is what I saw some people selling for. But that's how America works. If you can buy something and sell it for more, that's called entrepreneurship. So it's just a lot of, I know in the disc golf community we try to be a little bit more like amicable and like taking care of everybody, but still, like we make a living by selling plastic, so a lot of other people do that too. And so if you have a way where you can make money at it, the only way that people make money at it is if people are willing to pay for it. Yep. So it's kind of just a big drama thing that doesn't need to be, but it is what it is.
I got one more question in here. Dean Moore wants to know what has more of a meat hook, the H1v2 or the X-Cal by Innova? Excalibur.
The question is the X-Cal by Innova, Excalibur, more overstable or less overstable than this Prodigy H1? And I would say, watching Nate Sexton throw an X-Cal, I think the X-Cal would be more overstable with the finish. Yep. And since it's faster, it's going to go farther. So yep.
It's for the average person, definitely the X-Cal. Because it is a little bit more overstable just in general, but it is also faster, so you have to throw it harder to keep it from fading. So guys like Nate Sexton, who have monster forehands, can pump it straight for a long time, but average people, if they throw it at the much slower arm speed, it's going to meet hook a lot sooner. So for most people, the X-Cal is for sure going to be way more overstable. Is that all we got questions-wise, really?
Just a quick one, one word answer. Do y'all have a favorite basket?
Grow the sport.
I like to grow the sport, honestly.
Yeah. Huh? DiscGolfBaskets.com.
Yeah, head over to DiscGolfBaskets.com. You can check out all the baskets. We also have DiscGolfBags.com coming soon. That's a little spoiler. Thanks for tuning in. This was episode 60 of This is Great with Steve and Nate with the Prodigy H1v2. Check us back next week. It'll either be the Cayman or the Deflector.
All right. You guys want to tell the winners real quick?
Yep. Nah.
All right. Yeah, go back in the comments. You'll find it. We'll get it for this. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all.